All right. Good afternoon. This is the Startup Circle space, how to use AI in your business. And as the listeners start to join, I'm going to do a couple things here. I'm going to add and walk through a couple things. Here's a few things we're going to do today. The first thing, we're going to do a little bit of a 1-minute news read. I'm going to tell you about the latest AI news. We're going to introduce our special guest today. We're gonna talk then for a little while, and then afterwards, all the listeners are going to be able to ask questions. We have a great guest set up for tomorrow, and Friday we're going to do a new format. We're going to do a Ask Me Anything. So an AMA on Friday. We're hopefully going to go for an hour. We might be able to go for 2 hours tomorrow, or on Friday, depending on my schedule. But for today, we're going to do that. So let's get into it. Let's get into the first set of news. So the first couple things for the last 24 hours that Wharton School and GBK Collective did a study, and they've revealed that the use of generative AI has surged among business leaders, 72% reporting weekly use, as opposed to only 32% in 2023. So that's from 37% to 72% in 1 year. That's amazing. So this trend indicates that a significant expansion of AI applications. But here's the interesting part, it's more than just IT. It's now being used in those executives. The business leaders weren't just IT people, they were also human resources and marketing sector folks. That was pretty interesting. All right. There's been obviously some studies about the recent election in the United States. Did AI influence the results? Well, they're not really sure. So some scholars argue that it probably had impacts on the campaign strategies, probably didn't have any effect on the overall outcome, but they're still doing some research. Um, Google's DeepMind introduced a Alpha Qubit, introduced Alpha Qubit, which is an AI-based decoder designed to enhance reliability of quantum computers by accurately identifying errors. Umesh talked about this yesterday in the episode. If you go to that episode and listen to Umesh's discussion, he was talking about there's a rock in the path as the ball rolls down the hill. Well, Google's DeepMind has introduced a particular tool to reach down and remove those rocks, remove those kind of errors as they come through, as quantum computing continues to address that kind of noise to error correction system. All right, and the last one that I have today is AI scaling shows diminishing returns. Industry leaders are recognizing that traditional methods of scaling the AI models are yielding diminishing returns. As a result, there's a slight shift towards exploring new approaches like time test compute, which optimize post prompt performance as opposed to pre-training. So that's kind of interesting about that's the news that were for the last day since yesterday. And okay, so as we get started, make sure that for all of you joining, thank you for joining. This is fantastic. Join the Startup Circle. These are great folks, like-minded leaders of startups and founders. We, as a core team, are doing spaces every day on a variety of topics, both AI, business, communications, marketing. There's something for everyone. And because we are an international team, as this is an international audience, thank you so much for joining. Do we have people all over the world? So um, make sure you follow everyone who's on this space. DM them, make a friend. This is an international audience. You never know who can be able to help you from anywhere in the world. So let's do this. While I bring John up onto the stage, let me give him a little bit of an introduction. Welcome to today's conversation, where we dive deep into the intersection of innovation, disruption, and responsibility in AI. Thrilled to introduce our guest, John Allen, a thought leader whose voice resonates with urgency and clarity in the ever-evolving world of AI. John isn't just talking about the future, but he's living it, challenging us to rethink what's possible and urging businesses to adapt before it's too late. With his extensive background in AI, technology, ethics, he's here to unpack why this isn't just a tool, but a transformative force that reshapes industries and the future. So whether you're here to stay ahead of what's going on or to reflect on the challenges of what this means, you are in the right place. So let's give a warm welcome and bring John Allen to the stage. Welcome, John.
Andy, thank you so much. That's an amazing introduction. And I'm just so happy to be here. I love how you started with the news. I created a post today, talking about, it's lightning is striking every hour, and we're at breakneck pace. I had a milestone today. Robert Schobel added me to a list of AI consultants, which was huge for me and a big honor. And yeah, I'm working with it every day with clients, and the statistics are interesting. Uh, should I talk a little, or do you have some questions, or how do you want to do this, Andy?
You know what? You're the guest speaker. Go for it. We'll just have a conversation. So, for everybody listening, we're going to have a conversation. John and I are going to talk for a little while. If you want to come up as a speaker, make sure you just raise your hand, ask for the mic. We'll put you in the queue, and then when John and I are done with our conversation, about 20 minutes or so, then we're going to start asking listener questions to John, and we'll spend the rest of the hour we have uh, asking John some questions. So, John, go ahead and just go for it. I mean, by the way, I really did appreciate all of the amazing video that you created. In fact, I'm kind of honored because it was the first user generated content about this 2 week old uh, kind of startup circle space where every lunchtime, well, lunchtime for me and you, uh, I'm having this conversation with various people about how to use AI in your business. And John, if you haven't, John created a kind of a user generated content promo video. I really appreciate that, John. That was fantastic. A total surprise, and that's awesome. So, okay, John, we have all kinds of things. Lightning is striking every day. Let's use that. What do you mean by lightning striking every day? Besides that, Scobalizer is now following you. That's awesome, and put you on a list too, right?
Well, I say almost every hour.
Dude,
I started with AI with IBM's Watson about 10 years ago, and I made a little AI bot, or they called it an AI bot back then, but you had to put in every prompt and every answer. It was kind of ridiculous. And currently, I've got clients that I've been working with for 8 to 10 years, and I'm working with them to get their business prepared. And so we're rebranding one, and another one. He's has a law firm that's been growing, since we've been working together. Now has 4 offices from one, and dominates the state for his niche, in law, which is great. And he's been using ChatGDP, and I sent him a video showing how to use it for search, and I was explaining how this is going to change everything. And he doesn't use the paid version, so he couldn't get on, and he was frustrated. So I think there's a lot of people who own businesses, and the other client, I just got her to get at Chat GDP. It, like, part of my job is to to do what my clients can't do. And that means to be aware and read and be passionate and obsessed and myopic about marketing and search and bringing in clients, because they don't have the time to do it. And Umesh said such a wonderful thing yesterday, that nobody knows what's going on, which was so. I mean, it's happening so fast and it was so reassuring to hear. But part of my job is to push my clients so they're current, so they have an unfair advantage. So I immediately, Umesh talked about, I've been trying to figure out how to create these agents, and so yesterday, I mean, I just sat down, and I'm going to do it. I'm hoping to do it with a client as soon as possible, because that's going to be a different experience than me doing it on my own. But it's just so important that businesses have these advocates that are obsessed with things that they can't be obsessed with, and that are pushing it as fast as humanly possible, so they're up to speed, so they don't get left behind. And it's really, the big job is just to convince people that this is what has to be done yesterday.
absolutely. You know, I was at a luncheon this last weekend, 25 of the 50 people there. We had a conversation, and none of them are using IT. These are people who are uh, in state government, in various businesses, in consulting, none of them were using AI. They were all asking me, "Hey, can you help? How do you do this? How do you do that? What should we do?" And it was shocking to me that we had so many people in an industry that I'm very familiar with that don't know anything at all. So, John, you mentioned pushing your clients to create an unfair advantage. How are you doing that? What are the tools that you're using, or how are you recommending people use that in their business?
Well, so I've got a relationship. This is morphosizing ChatGDP. But when I first started working with ChatGDP about, I guess, 4 months ago, the first thing that I said is, "Hey, you know what? I am a marketer. I have clients I've been with for years. These are their reviews. It is ethical for you to help me to work with my clients and get new clients because I provide a good service." And that changed something, where it all of a sudden was much more happy to help me. And then I said, you know what? Because back then it couldn't remember much. I said, we're going to have a code word and you're going to remember this thread. And whenever I bring up this code word, it is going to continue this thread throughout this education. And I would go and find peer reviewed from Google Scholarly PDF about marketing and all kinds of things that I was interested in that would help my focus is. And so I've been working for a long time with ChatGDP, developing this, and I have average intelligence, except when it comes to organizing information, it's a little bit better. And so the prompt engineering comes really kind of intuitive for me because it's really about logic, and it is a different skill than what was out there in the past. And so and talking to ChatGDP and other AI models, I'll often take information from ChatGDP and then go to Grok and say, I challenge you to find holes in this and to challenge the assumptions and to see if it's correct, and then also to improve it, and then I'll bring it back to the other model, and that's always a good exercise to do. But it part of I was talking to them about, like, when you have it implanted in your brain, does the cognitive abilities matter? And they absolutely matter. And so the more that you use these on a regular basis, it does improve your cognitive abilities because it makes you pinpoint, just like when you're writing or using another form of communication, you have to adjust it and improve it. And there's a skill in that and an art.
It, I agree with you, by the way, and I do think that logic is inherent in the kind of framing the question for ChatGPT or Grok or any of these large language models. Can you, eh, you know what, John? Yesterday we had Umesh on. He was so technical. He's so awesome, but you're just the same, only from the business side. Can you help us, like, walk us through what a kind of that prompt engineering would sound like from a business perspective? Not everybody on here is like a, technical guru from, like some, deep mind coder at Google. Some people are just here trying to figure out how to use this in their business. Can you give us, like, walk us through what that business language would look like in the prompt engineering?
So I've created this book. I haven't put it out yet, on personas. And the whatever your skill set, so a production manager, a copywriter, digital marketing, what have you, one of the first things you want to do is establish parameters. So when I first started working with ChatGDP, I wanted to find out what it could do and what it couldn't do. And one thing that I've done is, actually, I've created a historical novel that has to do with a family member, and I put all in the information in, and it can't come up with a narrative worth anything. So when you get ideas, it's good to push it to see its limitations, because it will send you down a rabbit hole with bias, and if you're not careful, you can waste a whole bunch of time on it giving you information that is not relevant, not necessarily accurate. So you have to have knowledge and expertise in a subject to really use it best. So, in other words, you know what you know, and so you test it to see if it knows what you know. And then you can go and say, you know what, on this subject, let's go find some PhD level peer reviewed papers and upload it and build kind of a library of so all of a sudden you're really kind of molding it in a certain direction, and you're bringing it up to a really, it would have cost you who knows how much money to get a whole bunch of PhD level consultants to help you on these projects with your clients. I mean, it's really amazing, the the level of assistance. And I always like to look at it as collaboration. So if you are sitting there trying to put a square peg in a circular thing and hammer away to get the outcome you want, I don't think you're going to get as good results as if you come from the mindset that I have a collaborative team or I have a collaborative entity, and together I will ask it to challenge my questions and my assumptions, and I will redirect it. There's a prompt that I put on my page which is very powerful. If you go to my account, I don't want to, whatever, but it's the pause prompt. And so one thing that happens when you're working with ChatGDP or any of these AI models, if you give new information to it, often it will all of a sudden just act like it ignored everything that you put into it, and it becomes very frustrating. But the prompt says, go through this thread and create a hierarchy of my inputs, and then so let's determine what my inputs and what are the most important parts, and do this period. And you got to give the prompt kind of periodically, so it refines and focuses. And then I often do a feedback loop 3 times to redefine it and then come up with a summary, so we make sure that we're staying in the river that I need, because if you don't do that, it can go and veer off quite a bit and end up wasting your time, because it is kind of exhausting doing this stuff, because it does take a level of concentration that you have to do it right, in my opinion.
Interesting. So you started with personas about using a uh, particular role you're trying to accomplish, something a particular role is trying to accomplish, and then you put in a prompt to get some answer, and then after that you kind of stacked it, right? So you challenge the LMM to confirm or argue against whatever that concept is, and then you do that multiple times. Do you use the same one? I mean, because we've talked about kind of AI stacking in the past, where you take one model and then you put the same prompt and the same response into the next model and say, confirm this, or argue against it, or find the holes in it. Are you doing that in the same one? Are you using multiples? How are you stacking those kind of logical kind of construct and confirmations? Because we do that in our minds, right, automatically as humans. Oh, it looks like a bird. No, it's not a bird. It's too far away. Oh, listen to that sound. It's not a bird. It's a plane. Oh, and it's not even close. It's really, really far away, because now I can hear it. But we kind of go through that logical process ourselves. How are you using the AI tools and the LLMs to actually get to that same point?
Well, that's interesting you brought that up, because often I will have conversations about how my mind works. And that's how I came up with the pause prompt. Because for me, when I do digital marketing, what have you, there's a system that I use where I will do a competition analysis. I will check all the competitors. If I'm going to build a new website for a company or whatever, I'll do the keyword research. I will talk to the marketing director and the copy team, because often the copy doesn't match with the keyword research. And then, I do all this precursor work before I come up with the architecture of the website and blah, blah, blah. But then I just sit there and wait, and I just let it germinate in my mind, because I have to look at the competitors and there's always vulnerabilities. And then an idea comes. You can't just power through the whole thing and then expect the right idea to show up. Sometimes you have to put a lot of data in your brain and go for a walk or meditate or think or whatever it is. And then these ideas spring up that are really good. And so I had an epiphany when working with ChatGDP that, let's use this process for the way that you come up with outputs, because I think it will improve the output. And then when we get the output, to a degree where I'm comfortable with it and I understand that it understands me, then I will take that output and bring it over to Grok or Claude or some other model and just give it like one prompt. Take a look at this, challenge it, analyze it, and come up with something to make it better. And then I'll bring it back to ChatGDP. But I believe that it's good to have an anchor of one model that you feel comfortable, that you've trained, that kind of understands, your focus. Like
Yeah.
I can put in my code word and it says, oh yes, and it goes through the whole series of stuff that I've taught it over 4 months. And so
Right.
we're drilling down more and more.
Yeah, I did that same technique of training it. And so what I did was I trained it on my blog, and I said, this is the stuff that I write. This is the way and manner and tone and language and grade level and reading level that I typically talk at and that I would write at. And then can you just create something based on that parameter? And so now I have one of the LLM with ChatGPT. I have a custom ChatGPT. I can just go in and say, write a blog article. Here's this as the interest. Write like me. Write in the tone and manner of Andy, and it comes out literally as if I was narrating it. It's really remarkable. But here's the crazy thing: it won't do 25 chapters of some topic that I've talked on extensively. It'll do one chapter or three or four paragraphs, and then it gets lost, right? It goes into that kind of hallucination state, kind of what you're talking about. And I think maybe if I put in that pause prompt, and by the way, you got to find that and post it to the chat bubble so everybody has it. You've talked about it. We got to share this with everybody. If you've got that prompt, or if you can send it to Timo or me or whoever, we'll put it right here in the chat bubble, so anybody watching this or listening in the future will be able to get that. But let's go back to that. I love the pause idea. How else? What other kind of methodologies or what other kind of applications do you think that pause model would work in?
I think at almost anything. I think that if you have a thread where you're communicating, because when you meet somebody on the street and you have an idea, you've got to first define the terms that you both agree on. Then you have to create a foundation. You can't just pile all the information into a human mind and expect them to get it. So I think that's the way you need to approach AI models, in the same way, in the same manner. And so and what we do is when someone comes up to us and starts to tell us a story or something that happened, immediately we put things in priority. Oh, this is a
Sure.
family member, or they live close to me, or this is something I know something about. And so as you create these hierarchies in your mind, you can determine what action you should take. And so
Yeah.
I think that the hierarchy for you to give it a bunch of information. So with your writing, you might say, "Hey, let's have a chat about how I feel about writing." One thing that what I always love to do is, like, I uploaded a whole bunch of Hemingway, because Hemingway is one of the greatest writers. You don't think and so there's certain things that you can find out there in the world to bring it up. But then you always have to remind it about this periodically at times. So you can go through and create kind of a standard prompt that you can throw in to snap it back into place. But then also when you talk about what you want, you say, okay, I want to create a hierarchy for you to understand what's the most important whenever we work together, and then create a prompt that I can put on the side but or then also, you can have a code word or something that kind of reminds you, but that is not perfect. And yeah, I mean, I was
So,
surprised because I'm writing this book. It's I feel it's really important for you to ask it to do things outside of your profession, just creatively, because that will also give you a better understanding of what it can and can't do. But I learned so much from it on how to create better outputs by doing this thing that's outside of my profession, but I'm very much interested in it. And it really showed me a lot of its limitations, but it also showed me how to continue a thread of thought. That's how I came up with the pause prompt, is working on this historical novel, which is outside of my profession.
awesome. I love that. I think, John, you and I could have a conversation as if we're, just having coffee, sitting on the golf course out there in Palm Desert. But what I really want to do is, there's so many great people there's had their hands up for so long. Would it be okay if we just jumped into the questions?
Absolutely, and I would love to hear from you Mesh, about all of this as well, because I feel that he's way higher
Well,
up in the hierarchy of things to understand what we're
right.
talking
Well,
about.
we have an all-star listener crew. If I don't know if you've looked through who's
Yes,
listening, but
yeah,
my goodness. So,
everyone's here, so I'll be quiet and listen. Thank you.
yeah. As we transition into that next step, make sure that everyone here joins the startup circle. Make sure you join the community. Make sure that you connect with everyone. Find each person, reach out, make a connection, make a friend. Remember, so on this panel right now, we have people from Eastern Europe, from England, from Africa, from India, from Canada, from the United States, from Mexico. We have people from all over. I don't know if anybody in here is from South America, but essentially we have almost every single continent covered at this moment. I know it's kind of very late for a bunch of people who are in Asia because it's about, 4 or 5 in the morning, but okay, great for that. Let's do this. Let's go to the hands. So make sure that you connect with everyone. And I know, Alex, I don't remember exactly who had, Sharon was the first person that raised her hand. So I'd love to talk to Sharon. We'll go Sharon and then Alex and then Josiah. And then if you want to ask a question, feel free to raise your hand. So Sharon, welcome to the stage.
Thanks so much for having me. I hope it's not too loud here because I'm in a restaurant right now, so I'm going to make it just short. Yeah, AI John, I want to thank you for all the value that you just shared. What I heard is that you don't just speak with one model, you speak with numerous models, which is super awesome. I think that's very, very important to do. Now, my question is for you. How do you use now actively AI, because you are in the marketing game? How do you use it for yourself to market yourself here on social media? And are there any specific strategies that you use with your clients? That would be great if you could share a little bit there.
I mean, I think the biggest strategy with my clients is slowly introducing it to them in a way that they can digest. So some of the websites of the clients have been stagnant for more than 3 years. So, and I have a lawyer who wrote all of his content, because he's an expert in his field, and I have a proselytist who wrote all their content. And so I used ChatGDP with Grok to form pages where I came up with the content based on a lot of work that I had done training it. And both of them were like, wow. Because the prosthodontist has a PhD and very, very smart as well, and the attorney's very sharp. And I felt that was a big hurdle to overcome to write the copy for their sites. And so I think that was the first eye opener where they really started to understand what it can do and were more receptive. I often use AI for strategic planning. It's very good at strategic planning. It's very good at taking information that's already out there and making it sharp, but it does not have ideas. It does not. So it's very important if you're an expert in your field and you come up with creative ideas. Like I use one thing I use it for is cross-referencing data. So I'll take Google Analytics data with keyword research data, with query data, and I can cross-reference data really, really fast and find opportunities and come up with a report that would have taken me, I don't know how long, in a matter of seconds. It's, get to know it and then use your creativity in a way that you might think is novel that other people don't use, and or follow someone else. But the strategic planning, data analysis, copywriting, and even I'm gonna get a tool that can analyze heat maps and other things much faster as well to get the conversion rate going.
Great. Yeah, Sharon, did you have a follow-up?
No, that's really awesome. I think I just want to say one thing added on to it, because you just pointed out that you're solving maybe a client problem or so, and I think that would make it very easy for people that are either using it in their business or want to find clients that they can work with on AI strategies. It's all about solving a problem, right? What is something that company said business has that might need to be solved, maybe even a problem that they weren't even aware about, more revenue, more clients, whatever you have, right? And I think that would make it way easier to implement AI into the businesses, right? Because otherwise they probably would say, well, why would I need this, so I think that's something just to consider when working with AI for yourself or offering it to clients, to really figure out how can we solve problems that are just there today.
Well,
Thanks so much, John. Thank you.
and the big thing that's happening now is Google's market share is getting eaten up every second. So people can go to Perplexity to get answers to questions people used to go to Google for research. They would have to scan through a bunch of websites and figure stuff out. Perplexity answers statistical information in seconds. And so every business that is on the internet today that has a website has got to update their information for AI search today, yesterday. And so using ChatGPT AI search is a good way to begin, but it's different. So what happens now with ChatGPT is it does the work. It goes to all the websites and finds the best answer. And I believe that there is going to have to be a new form of content to crush it. And I'm not going to tell all my secret sauce thing, but it's that just start to explore what is going to happen for the change of every business online as AI search comes into play, which is already happening today.
Right. I mean, clearly we're going to have to get new kind of metadata or new kind of something. So probably metadata. I mean, there's another way I can think of it, but a new kind of metadata that can be searched by AI. I mean, to use your reference there, Google gives you a list, like when you go to the library and you say, where's all the self-help books on cooking pasta? They say it's over there in the aisle, and they give you a list of 50 books. AI will say, what kind of pasta are you making? Here's the recipe. And it shortens that research cycle by a factor. Powerful. It's amazing. Let's go to wait, I said Alex is next. Alex Utopia, thank you for joining. What's your comment or question?
Yeah, I'm excited to see that you picked John as a guest here, also one of my favorite new contacts on X. And I suspect we clicked so much because we are both SEOs, right? We both have at least a background in SEO. So, and you just dived into exactly that, what I wanted to ask about. What do you think is really here the future of the web, right? Because I see many different trends here. I see agencies I'm working with start to mass produce websites with this technology, right? And that sounds bad at first, but these websites are almost better than what we had before, right? Before we used to buy cheap text. There was a whole industry of writers and all of that. Now these websites are even better, but they mass produce them. So I wonder what even happens to the internet, right? Once it's basically full with millions of websites and text. And yeah, more general question. What do you think? Where's this journey going with Google search, the internet, websites itself? Will there even be websites in the future? What do you think about that?
Well, Robert Schobel had a video the other day, which was mind blowing. There's these kids, they're probably like 22 years old or whatever, that have built these glasses that have little sensors in the side that connect with your equilibrium. The I guess it's the bone in your ear that keeps you upright and not have vertigo. And Robert took a game player toggle and moved it, and the guy would move right or left. And the reason that he did that is he said that the problem with the big 360-degree glasses is people get vertigo, but these new glasses will fix that. So when you're in a 3D environment and you move around, the whole environment moves around, but it also affects your equilibrium, so you don't get nauseous. He said that these glasses will be available in about a year and a half for about $150, and they're going to be half the size of those Oculus. So what I see, I'm an Aquarius. I've always kind of been in tune to technology, and I always had these visions kind of the future. And, until I became a mystic, I never really believed it, but I pay attention to it now. And so, if you can get glasses like that for $150, you're going to be walking around and you're going to be searching through your glasses. And where the AI gets the answers is from the web. And I believe that you'll still have to have websites. I think that the only thing that Google has of great value for marketers is your local business listing. I don't see another company coming up with that, although they might come up with a better version. I don't know. But so when the AI retrieves the answers, it scans the web. You could say, hey, find all the best Google reviews for this. And then also I want it to have these attributes. It has to go to your websites to grab the data. I don't think it can scan through videos. So if you have a video, you're going to want to make also a copy of the transcript. But for now, that's how it retrieves the AI data. But I believe in the future, you're not even going to have a phone. You're just going to have these glasses, and you can walk by a store and go, hey, does that store have any discounts on sweaters? And if the store has pulled up the data in a way that the AI can retrieve it, there probably will be new ways where AI can retrieve data besides just the standard website. And that's kind of my focus right now, is trying to organize clients for that. But yeah, you could be walking down this thing in the street and say, "Oh, I need a tire from that tire shop." So I've got a 2013 car, whatever. How much is that tire? And if I found it at another place, it's a little cheaper. That's what I think is going to be commonplace. If this thing's coming out in a year for $150, that's crazy. And I think that's going to be the future of search. And we all know that search is how companies make money.
Right. But, John, I think it might even be a little bit more invisible than that as well. As you walk by the store may project something onto the devices that you're wearing that says, as you walk by, they go, "Hey, thanks for walking by the store. By the way, we have sweaters on sale. And if you give us this special keyword, we're going to give you 25% off, and nobody else can do that except for because you're walking by with these glasses," or something like that. I think that's just as likely. But when you come up with, or we figure out together what the new metadata is that we put into our sites, our information feed, or whatever it is, oh my gosh, you better share so that we can all take advantage of it. Besides, if you think about the 8 billion people in the world, there's only 50, 60 of us who are listening today. Come on, we're gonna.
So
I want to be the leader, right? I want more people to come, but I want to share all this great stuff
so
today with
Andy,
you.
this is what I believe the real future is that has to be done today. Any company that's enterprise size or bigger needs to get a AI developer or somebody who's going to make the bot, who focuses on the bot, and a marketer or somebody who understands that business, and to organize, like for dentists and lawyers, there's privacy concerns. So all of the cases need to be digitized, but all of the personal information needs to be removed, and then it needs to be in such a way that is, because I dealt with a company the other day that it has created an AI bot, and it's for calling and setting up appointments. It's pretty good. It's kind of relentless. It's a little glitchy, but there's companies that are not going to want their company represented by a phone person, even though the AI bot has a personality. It's kind of cool that relentlessly calls people. For higher end stuff, they're going to want nuances. Also, with the sales, they can then onboard customers, but that information has to be secure. So that means that AI bot has to be local, and there's within their computer system, and there's got to be security for it. But then some marketing person is going to have to consult with their marketing director to figure out the landscape of AI and how it's changing, so we can get their data organized for the event, when that's where all the money is. That's where the value is in the company's
Totally makes sense.
data and getting that together.
Yeah, that you know, you triggered a thought here before we go to the rest. We have like 5 more hands that, I mean, we're running at, we got like 18 minutes left. Okay, so I read this article in the past that talked about your personal medical data and your personal medical history as becoming the node yourself. You own your own data, and then you pay, other people and other companies pay to get your data. I think you're talking about the same thing, where the that particular medical office, whether it's a PT or it's a chiropractor or it's a dentist or whatever, they have a set of created data by their own patients. I think that's going to become, in the hub node kind of perspective, I think they're going to become the nodes in the future. But let's do this. We have Josiah, Umesh, Richard, Yvonne, Icott, and Dennis have put up their hands. So let's see if we can possibly get through these questions. Josiah, you're next.
We've talked about so many good things that I mean, I don't even know where to start. But if we can go back in the conversation to something we were discussing, to make a few brief comments about how you're structuring the data that you're using as inputs, and then you're taking some frameworks and you're building out some templates to do some data transformation, maybe shifting back and forth between different domains of expertise, which I find very interesting because that's essentially the frameworks that we independently developed for us, our agency, and what we're doing for clients. So it tells me that there's validation there in terms of how that's structured and how it's working. Um, Also, would be reluctant to ask too many specific questions about your inner working processes because I think that IP is very valuable. But I suppose, gosh, I have so many questions.
Well, you know what, Josiah? How about this? Why don't you be the guest speaker tomorrow, and then you can come on and we can go through all this stuff tomorrow with everybody, and then they can ask you the questions at the end of the day.
No, yeah, that's totally fine. Yeah.
All right. Well, cool. Then here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna have you write down your questions. You and I are gonna have a conversation tomorrow at noon, and then we will turn all the folks loose on you
I
tomorrow. How
appreciate
about
it,
that?
Andy. Thanks so much.
Yeah. Okay. So let's go to Umesh. Umesh, remember we only have like 16. So I'm going to give you the countdown. 16 minutes. So go, Umesh. You're on stage.
Hey, sorry, it took a second to unmute my mic. Thank you so much, Andy, for bringing me in. I have a question for AI John. First of all, thank you for kind words, John. A very quick question. You spoke about frustration of iterating over the prompts and giving yourself time to reflect on what you're doing, thinking deeply. Now, I don't, again, to divulge any kind of proprietary mechanism that you're using, but if you are ready to share, then I would definitely like to know if you're using an automated framework to get rid of some frustration that you're getting with the prompts and improve them without getting frustrated.
No, currently I'm not. I currently am just doing it through, I created this framework with ChatGDP with this code word, and I started my conversation months ago stating that I was ethical, and it was ethical to help me because my clients appreciate my work, and I do good work, and I help make them money. And for some reason, I think that is important. And so I'm able to continue. It's been remembering this conversation for 4 or 5 months, even before anybody said Chat GDP could remember. I kind of made this private contract with it, and then with the pause prompts and other things. But yeah, there's still problems. I would love to have some help in creating a better solution. With your inspiration yesterday, I'm going to make my own local agent.
Fantastic. Umesh, did you have anything else you wanted to ask?
No, I think it will go further deeper into it if I start asking questions, but let's go ahead with the others. We are short on time, I believe.
Well, anybody, if please, anyone with further questions, please DM me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And any of the former speakers we've had, Sharon was a speaker, we've had Umesh as a speaker. So feel free to connect with everyone. Make sure that you reach out. Let's go to Richard next. Richard's got his hand up. Richard, you're on stage.
Hey man, what's up everybody? I actually just want to keep it short and get back to John with something that that example with the new glasses, right? That are coming, or oculars, whatever you want to call them. That example, right? When you walk past the supermarket and it just basically notifies you if they have anything on sale, like with sweaters, for example. What I'm asking is this: a couple of years from now, let's just not take 1 year. Let's maybe take 5 or even 10 years when AI gets really crazy, right? We cannot really foresee that. We can foresee a few stuff like right now with a 1 year, but there are many question marks along the way. So how about that when it gets really crazy? Don't you guys think, like, this is an opening question for everybody? Don't you guys think that the human nature, the human aspect will be more valuable than the AI aspect when it gets a hold and a grasp of all the population which is using it? So yeah, that's my question.
I believe that humans will be at a premium. So if you are interesting, creative, artist, personality, the I don't see divine inspiration ever coming from an AI. It's a mimicker. It will mimic. But all the great minds throughout history had innovation and creation that was new, groundbreaking. They were told that they couldn't do it, and they did it. Look at Elon Musk. Look at so many people throughout history. And so, artists that create new things. So I don't. I think that there will be a segment of the population that will always pay a premium for a human. But I could be wrong in the sense that they're saying now that AIs come with better outcomes for doctors. I don't.
Well, but John, those are two different things. One is diagnosing a known set of parameters, coming up with a conclusion which is known. That's just a set of criteria, right? But the difference is that with human beings, okay, human beings by nature are adaptable because we have a defense mechanism that that makes us want to survive. And so if there is a threat, we will change our behavior. An LLM will have to modify its own behavior after it recognizes the threat. We instantly recognize the threat, automatically modify our behavior in unpredictable ways in every scenario. That's why there are always wars. And every time there's a war, they say, well, this new weapon is the end of all wars. I'm like, yeah, no, they're not. The Marine said it best. You can have the greatest machinery in the world, but you cannot outfool a Marine, right? And I don't mean to be disrespectful to Marines. I just mean they're creative guys that solve problems in unconventional ways. And I think that ability to jump from, if you take a logical alphabet, A, B, C, D, we go down the English, those 26 characters, 28 characters, whatever it is. We can skip a few and jump to XYZ. The computers don't have that same capacity to start with. And the LLMs just go, I know there's a bunch of gaps. Let's go find the gaps and fill it in before they give you the answers. And I think that kind of thing is what you're going to see. And to double down on what you're saying, the uniqueness of human beings is going to be amplified, and then that amplification is going to be even more disruptor to kind of the norm that turns in. But anyway, let's go to Timo. I see you've raised your hands. We've got Yvonne, ICAT, and Dennis who have jumped up on stage. And I'd really like, oh, I see Dennis just raised his hand. So after Timo, we'll get Dennis and we'll get Yvonne, hopefully, to ask a question. So go, Timo.
Yes, we'll get to Dennis very fast. I just have a request to AI John and everyone here. If you have a question to AI John, go to the purple pill and ask the questions in the chat section of this space and bookmark the space. There's a big crowd on this space if you didn't realize. So I think all those questions and answers, if you can publicly put them in the chat section, that would be awesome. So people can bookmark this so they can listen to the space and then go and check out the comments. So that was my idea.
Yeah, it's a great idea. Thank you, Timo. I'm going to take a note there. Let's go to Dennis. Dennis, thank you. You're on stage. Dennis, are you there? Oh, did we lose Dennis? Oh, no. All right, let's go to Yvonne. Yvonne, I know you jumped up on stage as a speaker. Do you have a question for John or me?
I didn't have a question. I was just kind of taking you guys in, but I would love for John to, hey, you guys, for John to talk briefly about the post that's pinned at the top in regards to pausing before data analysis.
Awesome. Thank you, Vaughn. Yeah, it's just often when you're working with AIs, you bring in new information and it kind of goes schizophrenic and forgets everything that you brought into the thread. And so what this does is it asks the AI to create a hierarchy of your engagements, and then to review what's been done, and then to do a feedback loop to refine that 3 times. And so periodically, if you're going through a project or a single thread, it's good to throw that pause in there periodically. Or let's say you've gone through a hurdle of a certain idea. You definitely want to review that to make sure that it understands that, and to put that within the hierarchy of the thread or the conversation. It's interesting with the AI. It is like having a conversation, and you have to wrestle with it for a little bit for it to get it right in terms of it understanding of what you want, or you feel that you've thoroughly exhausted that one idea. Then definitely use that pause prompt to make sure that it solidifies it, and that you can move on without giving it new information and it totally forgets what you've done to that point.
So
Yeah.
sorry, I just want to make sure I'm clear. So like when you're working with it and it's doing that, you just literally type in the word pause as a prompt and then continue forward?
No, on my account, there's a post that I created you'll see a big image called pause, and we'll get this up in the Jumbotron. I don't know how to do that on my own,
It's
but
there. In the Jumbotron now, you can go, Yvonne, you can go get it in the Jumbotron, the purple pill. You can see that there's a link right directly to John's post. and he talks about it. But go
Yeah,
ahead, John.
at the end of the post it says, here's your reward, and there's the prompt right there. So just copy it and put it somewhere, and then I would reuse it periodically. And then also you might be able to, improve it. So everybody could have the ability to improve any prompt. But that's where you'll find it, and you just copy it and throw it in there, and periodically give it a go, as they say. Okay.
All right, let's see if we can get. Okay, great. Thanks, Yvonne. Thank you for that. I've got Dennis. I may have to drop you down so that we can bring up just a couple more. We got 5 more minutes. Umesh, I see you have your hand raised. Dennis, are you able to speak? I know you had your hand up
Yeah,
earlier.
I'm here.
Yeah.
It's just
Okay, good.
horrible. I don't know. I always receive these bugs. So it's amazing topic. I really like it, and would you like probably add something to this online shopping example? So I work a lot with different startups, and I saw in a perfect future about this shopping. So, for example, like after work, you're just sitting in your Tesla, and it's completely on autopilot. You going home and you're just thinking about you need, for example, new umbrella, and this data collected by all everything you chose before, your preference and color and everything about you, it's already Amazon try collected about their customers, and you just uh so this data collect everything what you like, and you just be delivering and arrive to your home like as soon as possible. So I just would like add this one.
Yeah, it's amazing. All the Tesla cars, I have one, they are connected to the internet at all times, and they do that. They can show you, it's got a go lucky, it's got a thing you can just kind of look for things that'll take you all kinds of places and route you all various places and let you know various information. It's pretty amazing with that. Okay, we have a new speaker, Brandon. Thank you for joining. Let's hear your question. We've got just a couple minutes. Ask a quick question. We'll get John to give us an answer, and then we'll do some final things as we get here to the top of the hour.
Actually, I was going to tell you could drop me down. John already answered my question. Thanks.
Oh, well, thank you so much for joining. So with 2 minutes left, John, why don't you give us your final thoughts? And the final thought we always want to know is, what do you see as the future? And what do you think that next step we need to be taking is?
I care about entrepreneurs and businesses, and it's important for society that you be able to go downtown and buy a cup of coffee and get a mug that somebody's created. It's a Potter or something. So to me, it's kind of a mission to make sure that these businesses get through this portal in the best shape possible. And I've been fortunate that I've worked with great companies that have really done exceptional service and made people happy. So I think moving forward, find those companies that really offer great products, great services, that do what they say they're going to do, and help them get through this. It takes, even if the CEO is using ChatGPT, I think there's a lot of fear about AI. There's a whole psychological hurdle that you have to get through before everyone goes, oh, of course, and everyone embraces it. And right now, I think that to be that agent of change in a way where your true intent is the best outcome for the client is, I think, probably the most important thing to do. Get them educated, get them on board. The solutions to these problems will be, for people on X, it's going to be quick to understand this because we're all building relationships. We're all kind of like on the same team. And I believe that there's a real ability to quickly find solutions to problems by staying on X and being known and knowing other people and creating this network that can go out there and really solve these problems, because it's just moving at lightning speed every day. And at some point, there are going to be people going, I got to catch up. And it might be harder for those people. So, or those businesses or what have you. That's kind of my instinctual feeling about that. And, sorry.
John, thank you so much. We're right at the top of the hour. Thank you so much for being our guest speaker. You just brought so much value. Um, Lightning strikes every hour by John Allen. There you go. That's the quote for the day. And then for all of you who are listening, make sure that you join the Startup Circle, follow everybody on the space, connect with everyone, make friends. This is an international community. You're talking to people all over the world, literally right now. And if you were interested in the main topic, which was the pause kind of prompting, in the Purple Pill and also in the Jumbotron, is John's post where he goes through. It's got a big pause picture on it, and there's the actual prompt is right there in the post. So go get that, go copy that, DM him, let him know. Thank you so much for that. Tomorrow we're going to have Josiah as a special guest, and Friday we're going to do an AMA, Ask Me Anything, and we're going to just have a great panel. We're going to bring up a lot of people. So thank you so much for joining. You guys have a fantastic day, and see you tomorrow. Bye.